In this video we're going to look at a new feature in the MEPPP Productivity Pack 2018 update related to lighting fixtures, and specifically in this case tracking design target average illuminance per space related to lighting fixtures. So to start out with, if we select the space in this particular office, you'll notice over in the Properties palette that we have some parameters here to specify the type of space, and then the fact that we want to hit 30 foot candles for an average target illuminance at a work plane of 2'6". And then there's some other notes here related to controls and just regular notes. So the type for the space is down under identity data, and it's target illuminance room type. So you have this drop down list. You can pick different room types. So if we were to switch from office to reception, you'll see the design information that we want to try and hit changes. So it went from 30 average foot candles to 40. One more example just for comparison purposes. If we were to look at something like a corridor, the work plane is going to be at 0, foot candles 10, occupancy sensor. So let's set that back to office, and then I'll show you where this is set up. If we go to the schedules, you'll notice in 2018 they're organized now by discipline. Under lighting analysis, we have two schedules, and one of them is called a schedule key, and you can actually add to this schedule by clicking the insert row option. So I click insert row, and I'm just going to write something different just so it stands out, like apple. And then we can type in our target illuminance, our work plane height. Notice these are the proper units, so I don't have to type the foot and inch symbol or the foot candle. And then we can type information here about the control type. So a drop-down list will give us all the options that have been previously typed in, and then any notes here is what we can type. So now if we go back to our floor plan and select that same room, we'll go down to identity data, and Apple is now an option in this list. When we pick that, we'll see that the amount of foot candles that we typed in, 12, 2'6", manual controls, any note here, all shows up. So this is purely for reference, to be able to capture design intent. Perhaps a senior designer could go into this schedule, lighting analysis working. You'll see all the room number and names, and then that person could go down this list or do it in the plan view, so it's a little more contextual perhaps, specify what the room type is, or even add additional rows to this target illuminance schedule like we did. And then as the design evolves and lighting fixtures are added to the space, as we see here, Revit has the ability to do what's called a zonal cavity calculation based on the lighting fixtures and the photometry, and give us a really preliminary average illuminance. This is primarily accurate for rectangular spaces, but it's still a good early rule of thumb, and you can see there's 43 foot candles right now, and we're shooting for 30, so perhaps we could change the layout and lose a light fixture. Being a little bit over maybe isn't a problem. We also want to make sure that the lighting calculation work plane matches what we're shooting for. If we go back and look at our working schedule, we see that we'll actually have the target illuminance, average illuminance, and then the Revit calculated average illuminance, and then same for the work plane height. So there's what we've plugged in as a target, and then what Revit's using for this preliminary calculation, and then our control type and illuminance type. So perhaps none of this will show up on the drawings anywhere, but it's a helpful design tool in an early state. Eventually you'd want to do something like use ElumTools, the professional lighting calculation add-in for Revit. The last thing that we have related to this is under Views, Analysis, Lighting. There's Analysis Lighting Plans, which show a color fill legend. If the legend's not showing up, you can go to Analyze, Color Fill Legend, and add that. So you can see only one room right now is really anywhere near the correct ballpark for an average illuminance. And by the way, not until Revit 2019 do LED or absolute photometry IS files actually work for this particular calculation, the average estimated illuminance. Previous to Revit 2019, which the MEPPP productivity pack is currently shipped in 2018, that calculation won't work for IES files. So that's why these other rooms, which do have light fixtures but have absolute photometry associated with them, the calculation says 0. But if a project or the MEPPP productivity pack starter template is upgraded for a project, then it'll immediately start working. It's just a Revit limitation. If we wanted to add tags, we could go to the Tag All command, go down to Spaces, so Space Tags, pick our tag type from that drop-down list, and then hit Apply. Now we have a tag in every room. Unfortunately, the target average illuminance and work plane heights can't be associated with this tag because schedule keys do not allow shared parameters to be in them. So those parameters are not shared parameters, therefore they cannot be associated with tags. So that's a quick look at the target average illuminance functionality built into the Mechanical Electrical Productivity Pack 2018 version update.